It happened in 2015. At the time, Nico lived far from the city, deep in the countryside, miles away from any other house, with no close neighbors. In other words, seeing someone wandering around the property was already strange in itself. And that's exactly what happened. His father was outside when a man appeared out of nowhere and offered him a Pepsi. Just like that. No introduction, no explanation. Simply, "Do you want a Pepsi?" His father refused. Sensibly so. Who knew what could have been in that drink? Later that day, they went out to run some errands. His mother, father, two sisters, and Nico all climbed into the pickup truck for a quick trip to the nearest supermarket. To give you a better picture, their house was surrounded by orchards, almond trees, pistachio trees, vineyards, and rows upon rows of trees stretching out as far as the eye could see in every direction. To reach the road, they had to drive down a long, winding dirt path through all these fields. That's where they saw something that made them all fall silent. A black van. Its windows were completely covered with curtains drawn shut, as if someone inside was hiding something. And that smell, Nico couldn't even describe it properly. A mix of rot, chemicals, and something sharp. It stung their eyes so badly it almost made them cry. The driver was dressed in all black and wore sunglasses, even though the sun was already beginning to set. When he looked at them, he smiled, but not a friendly smile, one that turned your stomach. In that moment, Nico knew something was very wrong. They continued their trip to the store, did their shopping, and then drove back home. But as they pulled into the driveway, one detail made them uneasy. Fresh tire tracks in the dirt. Footprints too, but they didn't think much of it. Workers often passed through the orchards. Probably just someone passing by. That's what they told themselves. That evening, Nico's older sister noticed something in the sky. Red and blue flashes visible between the clouds. Everyone went outside to look and saw a helicopter flying overhead. Helicopters were rare in that area, almost non-existent. They had no idea what it was doing there and stood watching it in silence. But the next morning, everything became horribly clear. When they turned on the news, they saw that a body had been found in a nearby canal, mutilated. The fingers were missing. The eyes had been gouged out. And when the photo of the victim was shown, it was him. The man who had offered Nico's father a Pepsi. The man who had walked across their property for no reason. He was the victim. And the killer? It was the man in the black van, the one with the sickening smile, the one they had passed just a few feet away on that dirt path. They stared at the screen, speechless, frozen. All the warning signs they had ignored the day before suddenly lit up in their memories. They had looked a murderer straight in the eyes and kept driving. All of this happened to Soraya one night when she had to visit her grandmother. That day she tried to catch a bus, but by midnight they were all full. After a bit of waiting, she finally boarded a jeepney. There were only a few people inside, all normal looking, minding their own business. The jeepney had been driving for a while when it passed in front of a psychiatric hospital. A woman was standing by the side of the road. She wore a hospital gown and was holding out her hand, asking to get on. She was bald. Her face looked unnaturally pale. The jeepney stopped right next to her. Inside, silence fell. The streets were drowned in thick darkness, and the jeepney's headlights were the only lights piercing through the night. At that moment, Soraya was texting her grandmother to tell her she'd be late. While typing, she glanced at the woman. But just before the woman placed her foot on the jeepney step, the driver suddenly slammed on the gas and drove off, leaving her alone in the fog. Soraya was completely confused. The other passengers seemed just as lost. They all stared at the driver, whose face showed genuine fear. They asked him why he did that. He replied in a trembling voice, "That wasn't just a woman, ma'am." At those words, he glanced into the rearview mirror and went silent. Then he stepped harder on the gas. Soraya followed his gaze toward the mirror and saw her. The woman was running after them. Her posture was unnatural, inhuman. She was moving so fast that her face was a blur. But what they could see was her gown, covered in blood. One of the passengers sitting on the rear platform yelled to the driver, "Faster! She's getting closer!" The atmosphere in the jeepney became electric. Fear took over everyone. Soraya was sitting right next to the door. That's when the woman leapt. She grabbed onto the door slowly, like a lifeless corpse, and then lifted her head. Her face was covered in bruises. She was smiling. Her teeth were sharp, her eyes black, huge and empty. Soraya's heart nearly stopped. Everyone started screaming. She grabbed her bag and hit the woman with all her strength. The woman fell off the vehicle, but when Soraya looked again, the woman was standing upright, staring at her. Then she let out a demonic laugh. Shortly afterward, the jeepney finally reached the station. Everyone got off in a hurry. Soraya too, after paying the fare. She walked over to a small shop nearby to buy something to calm her nerves. While standing in line, she couldn't stop thinking about what had just happened. The cashier looked at her with a concerned expression. "Are you okay?" he asked. "Yeah, I just saw a crazy woman in the street earlier," she replied. What he said next left her speechless. "I know her," he said. "She had cancer. When she lost her hair, she snapped. She would laugh for no reason, hurt herself, threaten people. Her family finally admitted her to the asylum, but a week later, she tried to escape and got hit by a jeepney. She died." A chill ran through Soraya's spine. She asked him if he remembered the license plate number of the jeepney. The man hesitated. He said it was private information and refused to say more. But after hearing the cashier's words, she went looking for the jeepney, and when she found it, she froze. It was the same one she had ridden that night, the jeepney that had hit and killed that woman.